Hey there, vinyl community. My name's Tom. You're watching Rant District. Today's Friday, May the 20th, 2022. Just got a new record in the mail. Today is the release date for The Clash, Combat Rock, the People's Hall Special Edition. Combat, of course, I've got the original of Combat Rock. I don't normally buy reissues of records I already own. The pitch on this was rare and unreleased tracks. I think it's got a couple of remixes of a few songs. Besides the Combat Rock album, here's the track list for the extra tracks. I think there's a dozen of them. So, I was skeptical about buying this. We'll see how it pans out. It's a triple LP. It's $59.99, so $60, which is it feels like a bit much for what I'm feeling here. This feels kind of flimsy. Anyway, gonna open this up, see what it looks like. All right. For $60, it feels a little bit unsubstantial. All right, yeah, just kind of a thin, flimsy cover. We got let's see, some sort of a poster here. There's the poster. I suppose that could go up on Vinyl Richie's wall next to his Morrissey poster above his bed. You got, let's see, custom inners. The inners aren't too bad. It's one of them. There's another. There you go. Paper sleeves, but they seem fairly thick and not bad. So look at the label for The Clash, the People's Hall. Take a quick peek at the other discs. The Combat Rock album. Let's see. I don't know. Vinyl looks alright at first glance. It's flat. Last record I got online from Amazon, to be fair, was pretty warped. Yeah, this is flat. There's also the People's Hall. And, I don't know. This always feels like a bit of a jip. The sixth side of this set, I guess, is blank. Guess one of those that's good for setting anti-skate, so I guess it'll have a use. I already have something like that. All right, anyway, I'm going to clean these up, give them a spin sometime tonight, and then I'll check back into this video and let you know how they sound. Was it worth it? Was that a good use of $60 US? Back in a bit. All right, gave the records a clean and the spin clean, popped them on, gave a listen. Now, to backtrack for a second, this record is a release by Sony Music, who within the last day and a half just announced major price increases for their catalog. So new records for a lot of their titles are having like big price increases. So, for reissues of whatever, some records are going up $2 or $3. There are plenty of records in their catalog going up $10 to $15. It's a pretty steep increase. Whether it's warranted or not, it feels in a lot of cases like a cash grab. So I am predisposed with this being a Sony release to not being kind to it. So got the records from Amazon. They're flat. 3 records in the same package. They're flat from Amazon. So already I'm floored. Uh, After sitting and listening to it, I've only listened to it once all the way through. Is it worth it? Is it worth the $60? Um, Money's tight these days. Inflation's out of hand. I went to the grocery store yesterday, and man, just a jar of preserves. That was normally about 4.50. It's like $7 now. Things are getting out of hand. If you got the $60 though, is this version worth it? Yeah, absolutely. It's really fantastic. The rare times I buy records from Amazon, boy, I'm surprised they keep selling them to me. I send so many back just because they're crappy pressings, and I'm not just like they're warped or they got ticks and pops that don't clean out, and I don't feel like I'm that picky a person. I just want it to just don't fuck shit up. It's a great sounding. This entire record, the sound is fantastic, but it's just really enjoyable. You got the record, you got Combat Rock on first disc, and just listening to it again is probably the first time I've listened in a couple of years. I mean, I've had the record forever, and just listening to it again just reminded me like what a really fantastic record it is. And the sound quality was really really good. The outtakes, I'm not a fan of outtakes. This has rarities and alternate versions of things, and the whole package was fantastic. It just sounded great from start to finish. It's a really, really great record to begin with. And I was reminded of that, just listening to it again tonight. There's going to be people that want to talk about, that really dwell on the quality of the sounds. And this is, sound wise, it's a very interesting record to listen to. But if you're listening to the sounds rather than the music, you're missing the point of this record. It's a really wonderful record. It's a record that I'm drawn to because, number one, I love The Clash, one of my all-time favorite bands. But I also grew up in New York City. I'm born in the Bronx. First 18 years of my life were in New York City or Long Island. It's a record that has a lot of New York City in it. First of all, the record starts out with Know Your Rights, and it ends with an alternate take of Know Your Rights. Going from talking about the whole thing, all 5 sides of this album. And the whole concept of Know Your Rights, it's a kind of a class struggle. It's like you got rights, but unless you're, you down here have rights, unless, you got up here. And that's kind of like an essence of the Clash's music. So I appreciate that the first song and the final song on the whole thing was Know Your Rights. But getting back to New York City tie-ins, the big songs are Rock the Casbah, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Everybody knows those. There's elements of Vietnam and the Vietnam War and elements of New York City in this that just kind of are relatable to me. Just being that's where I'm from, New York City, not Vietnam. But if you look at Red Angel Dragnet, it was one of the guardian angels in New York City that was killed. In that song, you had one of the like a Clash manager, doing an imitation of Travis, the character Travis Bickle from the movie Taxi Driver, and just like the lines that he's throwing out there just kind of take you back to the De Niro character in a movie that takes place in New York City, in a place where this killing happened, that the song is about. And who was it? Travis Bickle, the character in the movie, is a Vietnam War vet, and then when you go to the last song on that first side, Straight to Hell, it's kind of it's a sad song about, kids who were fathered by American GIs, by Vietnamese women and women and left behind. So, it's like fucked up GIs doing these things, and then, you got these lines in Red Angel Dragnet that are related to a character that's Vietnam veteran Travis Bickle that's having a breakdown. So there's kind of tie-ins there, and there's New York City tie-ins. And what was the other song? There's a song on side two, Sean Flynn, who is a relative, maybe a son of Errol Flynn, who was a journalist or photographer during the Vietnam War, who I think got grabbed by the Viet Cong and just disappeared. I don't know that anybody ever heard from him since. So it's got that Vietnam tie-in. Ghetto Defendant, another song on side two, has I consider it sort of a New York City tie-in, in that the poet Allen Ginsberg doing poetry as part of the song. I always think of Ginsberg as kind of a New York City kind of guy, even though it's originally from New Jersey, and things from New Jersey are bad because they're from New Jersey. But I associate him with New York in it, so it's kind of that whole, to me, New York feel to it. The whole record, Combat Rock, is really fantastic. Oddly enough, the two biggest hits, they're fine. They're enjoyable songs. They don't really grab me or do as much for me. And you kind of get them out of the way back to back in the middle of side one. Not that getting them out of the way is right, because they're good quality songs. But the entirety of the record from start to finish is really fantastic. And then when you go to the second record, the first track, I should say, it's really just like sounds. I forget what the track is called, but it's really just like field recordings of just the sounds of New York City. It's the sounds of people in the streets. And so it's again that New York City feel. And I think I can't remember whether it was, I think it was recorded in. Was it recorded in New York? Fuck if I know. I think it was. But anyway, it's a really wonderful record. Anybody getting tied into descriptions of the sounds, or where this was pressed, or was this a digital recording or analog recording, the music sounds wonderful. In general, I think if you're hung up on whether a song is like a digital or an analog album, I mean, a record is analog. If it sounds great, that's great. It's like when I hear people get obsessed about whether it's a digital or an analog recorded album, I think of like, oh, here's this great dog. It's like, this is a fantastic dog. And then somebody's like, well, what's its lineage? What are its parents? Are its parents any good? It's like, I don't give a fuck. It's a good dog. It's like, don't get so wrapped up in the origin. It's like the actuality of the thing. Do you enjoy it? So I'm sure this was, a digital cut or what have you, but the record sounds fantastic. It was well pressed. I don't know where it was pressed, but well pressed, sounds good. It's rare for me to say that a $60 record was money well spent, but this was money well spent. It's a very, very enjoyable record to listen to, and I strongly recommend it if you have a soul. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.